Hey everyone, this is James Wilson with BikeJames.com, and today I wanted to share another quadrant with you. I shared one earlier on the 4 quadrants of tension, and this one is on the 4 quadrants of pedaling, and basically a way to look at your pedaling position and the effort that you're putting into it, and to give you an idea of how to use different positions on your bike. Because one of the big mistakes that I see a lot of riders make is they don't know when and how to make good use of their standing position and when to do that. And so they use their seated pedaling position way too much, which you'll see is actually one of the worst positions to use, especially under high tension, hard effort. So let's take a look at how this quadrant comes together, right? So we're looking at two different spectrums that we're going to intersect to form this. The first one is standing and seated. So this is actually not really a spectrum. It's, if your butt's on the seat, you're sitting down. If your butt's off the seat, you're standing up on the bike, right? Like, I'm not going to get into attack versus thrown or kind of where our weight is. That's not necessarily part of this. Just whether we're standing up and our butt's off the seat, or whether we're sitting down and our butt is on the seat, right? So that is going to form our first part of this quadrant here, okay? So what we got here is standing, and then we've got seated here, right? So all of your efforts on the bike are going to fall into one of these two sides here. Now, the other thing that's going to intersect it is going to be the tension level, or basically the effort level, right? So your effort level and tension level, if you think about them, they're tied together. Your body basically creates tension to fuel the effort that you're doing. So low tension is an easy effort, high tension is a hard effort. And again, if you think about this instinctively, you can, think about this, you know what I'm talking about on your bike, right? You're cruising along, things are nice and easy, you don't have a whole lot of tension in the system, but then something happens, right? You hit a hill, or you hit a downhill with a lot of technical features or something, right? And so you got to stand up and navigate. All of these things require more tension in the system, and that's what makes them harder. So it's not just a matter of easy and hard, it's also understanding that easy efforts are low tension efforts and hard efforts are high tension efforts, right? So that'll give us the other side here. So this is going to be low and high as far as tension or effort, however you want to look at that, but they're basically going to be the same thing, right? So when you look at this, now we've got this quadrant. You've got standing and seated, and you've got high tension or hard effort, and you've got low tension or easy effort. And so that forms this. You can either be standing up and things are hard, or standing up and easy, or sitting down and things are hard, or sitting down and things are easy. So everything that you do on the bike is basically going to fall into one of these 4 categories. Now, what do these 4 categories, what are they good for, right? Not each one, not all of them are the same. So the first one I want to look at is standing, high tension, or hard effort, right? This is your max performance. Max performance, max fun, right? So what do I mean by that? I mean, when you're standing up and this is where you're going to be able to, your hardest pedaling efforts come from, right? If somebody bet you money, like how fast can you go from point A to B, relatively short distance, you're going to stand up. Like when someone asks you to lay down your max power, standing up is going to allow you to do that. So that is your most powerful pedaling position. It's also where you're going to be able to execute your skills. You cannot execute any skills with your seat or with your butt on the seat, because skills rely on your ability to manipulate your weight around the bike, right? You manipulating your weight is what moves the bike, causes it to do different things. And so if your butt is static and sitting on the seat, you can't really execute any skills there except for seated pedaling. That's the only skill that you can execute from that position. So your standing pedaling is your max performance. You're going to have your best skills and best pedaling from that position, and that's going to be the most fun, right? Now, the other end of that is your standing low tension or easy efforts. Now, a lot of people think, hey, just because it's a sub-max easy effort, you should be sitting down. But in mountain biking, that's not necessarily true, right? From here, this standing easy, this is what I call free speed, okay? Free speed, right? So when you're standing up and things are easy, you're able to use your skills to get free speed. Because remember, what we want is forward momentum. That's what we're looking for. That's where speed comes from. Pedaling is just one way to create that momentum. And so if you are using your skills, right, pumping things, hitting corners right, you're going to actually be gaining momentum off of these things, or helping maintain momentum, right? If you lose momentum and have to pedal to get it up, if you didn't lose in the first place, you don't have to pedal to get back up there. So the point is that you can get what a friend of mine in Hawaii used to call free speed, which is using your skills to manufacture momentum and speed off of the trail. Now, let's take a look at the seated position, right? So seated low effort. This is great for recovery, okay? So let's take a look at that. Now this, the studies bear this out, right? Like when you look at studies, seated pedaling is more efficient for sub-max effort. So it is easier to recover from hard efforts in that seated position. But only if you're in the easy recovery side, right? Now, as soon as things start to get hard, the high tension, hard efforts from a seated position, this is bad. This is max pain, right? Max, like suffering, really. Like this is gonna be, or injuries, that's what it is. This is gonna be your max injuries. So chicken scratch there or whatever. But so this is going to be max pain, max injuries. Like sitting down and pedaling, especially in a high tension, hard effort, it is so bad for you, right? Like you're sitting down, so your core is not engaged properly, you're bending over, your spine's not engaged properly. No matter how good of a bike fit you have, you're never going to have full knee extension when you're sitting down. As soon as you stand up, that goes away. You have pressure on your foot and you got pressure at the knee, which helps stabilize it. There's so many good things that happen to your body when you stand up and so many bad things that are going on when you're sitting down. The last thing that you want to do is be running a lot of tension through the system when you're sitting down. And you also can't execute any skills from that position. So you're actually at your like least performance mode when you're trying to do high tension, hard efforts while you're sitting down. So again, a lot of the advice to sit and spin comes from two things. One, the misunderstanding that you think that you need weight on the back tire and that sitting on the seat puts weight on the back tire. That's not necessarily true. It's a subject for another video. What you actually need is pressure, and you need pressure on that back tire, and you can apply pressure without having your butt on the seat, right? Like if weight was what you needed, then the heaviest people would never run out of traction. They would have infinite traction because they've got the most weight on their rear tire, but that's not the case, right? So obviously there's something else going on there. We've seen people stand and pedal and climb stuff without losing traction. So that's not really true. It's just kind of this thing that gets thrown out there that people don't really understand. And the other thing is, like I said, there are studies that show that seated pedaling is more efficient at sub-max effort. So the interpretation there is that, well, unless I'm at a max effort, and this is where things get a little fuzzy, right? Like I agree with that, but people think like, well, unless you're at a max effort, you should be sitting down. There's no reason to stand up unless you're at a max effort, which I kind of agree with, right? But the thing is what is your definition of maximum effort? If your definition of maximum effort is until your face is melting off, that's not it, right? Definition of maximum effort is when things get hard. So on like a RPE scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being easy and 10 being the hardest, like once you get into the 8 range, 8, 9, and 10, that's starting to get hard. Like that's when you should be thinking. So when you get into those hard efforts on your bike, you should think of standing up, because you're actually going to be better, more efficient in those high tension, hard situations while standing up than you are sitting down. It's going to be healthier for you, easier on your body, just a lot of good things going on there. But again, people discount the free speed, right? Remember, those studies are done in a lab. They're usually done focused on road cycling. And so road riders don't have as much opportunity as mountain bikers do for maintaining and creating momentum off of the trail. And so that free speed concept is kind of lost in that discussion, but it's a real thing, right? Where does that fit in? And so anyways, you can see with this quadrant, it allows you to understand the different positions and pedaling postures and stuff that you're going to be in, and tension efforts, and how to use those things effectively. So as you can see, seated pedaling is really most effective for recovering for your hard efforts, and then using standing pedaling as much as possible because it's better on your body. It's a higher performance position to be in, and the more you practice it, the better you're going to get at it, right? So, anyways, think about this for pedaling quadrant. My challenge to you is to go out and work on your standing pedaling. Don't be afraid to stand up. I don't know why, but the mountain biking industry and cycling industry at large puts the fear of God into people about standing up. And it makes no sense from a movement-based standpoint, from a performance-based standpoint, from a skill standpoint, any of these things, right? It doesn't make any sense. So stop falling for that crap. Stand up, do yourself a favor, you'll improve your performance, and your body will feel better too. And again, just applying this quadrant concept so you know when to apply standing versus seated pedaling in different situations will help you be a better mountain biker. So anyways, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this tip, and I'll talk to you in the next one.